everybody quiet.
The meeting is called to order. The time is 7 p.m. Public portion of the meeting begins. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Business Administrator Board Secretary has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted on the Bulletin Board of Municipal Building, communicated to the Herald News, the Record, and filed with the Clerk of the Borough of Hawthorne. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carr.
Here.
Mr. Clivio.
Here.
Mr. Doyle.
Here.
Ms. Ehrentraut.
Here.
Ms. Smokey Colton. No, not here. Mr. Palouse.
Here.
Mr. Shortway.
Here.
Mr. Desario.
Present.
Mrs. Goff.
Here. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
During each regular meeting, 2 opportunities are provided for citizens to ask questions and to make comments. During the first opportunity early on the agenda, the meeting is open to the public for the purpose of addressing items listed for approval on this agenda only. The second opportunity occurs just prior to adjournment when citizens may address any subject matter that is pertinent to and/or directly related to the operation of the school district. Persons wishing to speak must, upon being recognized, rise, state their name, address, and subject matter. Comments and questions shall be addressed to the board president or the presiding officer and shall be limited to 5 minutes per person. The board may or may not respond to issues raised by members of the public at the time they are raised, but will provide a response if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Please note that the board will not respond to comments regarding students or board employees in light of the privacy rights held by those individuals. Moreover, the board discourages comments about such individuals and will not be responsible for such comments. Members of the public who choose to speak during this public session should carefully consider their comments, since they could be held personally liable for any statements they make. Finally, please note that in accordance with district policy, the board will not officially comment or respond to any matter mentioned unless it's confirmed the matter has first been brought to the attention of the appropriate school personnel in an attempt to resolve the issue. Publicly heard agenda items only. Hi, Dr. Morrell. We miss you.
Good evening, I'm Emma Morrell, 61 East Ave. I have a question about the item from Finance and Administration.
Is that mic on, Dr. Morrell? Is it able to be, okay. We hear you. I just don't know. No, I think.
Tamara, is
I don't
that mic
know.
on?
We can,
I'm sorry, is the
I can hear you,
microphone
but
on?
I'm not sure they can hear you.
They'll check for you.
Do you want it, can I talk?
I'll repeat it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question about Finance and Administration item found on page number 7 of the agenda, specifically item A6. Can you please share if there is any cost to this tri-op agreement?
So, yes, thank you. So we did agree to extend the agreement for 2 more years. The cost is $5,000. They asked for $5,000 for the 24-25 school year and for the 25-26, so $5,000 a year, total of $10,000 over 2 years for to assist in purchasing uniforms. That will now incorporate the Hawthorne colors and the Walter colors, so it's a tri-op, obviously.
Okay,
They're
so-
rebranding the uniform.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm not sure if you were here last week, Dr. Morrell, but the captain of the team is a Hawthorne kid, Tommy Corpix. One of the captains, I believe there's multiple. Any other public comment on agenda items? Okay. Approval of minutes. March 19th, regular meeting, both public and private. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Clavijo and seconded by Mr. Totaro. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Clavio?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Ms. Aaron's
Yes.
Ms. Smokey Colton?
Yes.
Mr. Paluce?
Yes.
Mr. Shortway?
Yes.
Mr. Totoro?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes. Correspondence, I did get a couple of things. We all should have gotten this little mailer. It's the workshop for 2024. Registration and housing opens April 1st if anybody is interested in NJSBA workshop. The dates I gave last time are October 21st through October 24th at the Atlantic City Convention Center. If anybody didn't get one and wants to look at mine. I also received a letter from Bill Presgrell in the House of Representatives. It was this Service Academy Information Day. I will be handing this to Dr. Sprito afterwards. He wrote a letter saying that across the 9th Congressional District, they have been assembling this Academy Day for all those who may be interested in any of the United Service Academies, like the United States Military Academy at West Point, the United States Naval Academy, the United States Air Force Academy, the United States Merchant Marines Academy, and the United States Coast Guard Academy. They can come talk with their representatives and be helped through the application process and take questions directly from potential nominees. So it's an information session that will be held on Sunday, April 21st at Bergen County Technical High School in Teterboro at 10 a.m. It's open to all high school freshmen, sophomores, and juniors and their families. So I'm going to hand this off to Dr. Sprito if we can get this.
We already received that, and
Okay.
I shared it with Mr. Pfister.
Awesome. It came to me personally. I felt very special, so I'm going to hand it over to you. And I'm not going to steal Dr. Sprito's thunder, but I would like to talk about my favorite piece of correspondence,
Please.
which went to every member of the Hawthorne community, not just school, children's, families. It was every member of the Hawthorne community. There are so many cool pieces of information in here that even we as board members, we don't always know what's going on in all of the buildings. This particular, I want to call it addition because we do plan on doing this again, was devoted to focus on the high school. Many of the amazing opportunities that were highlighted here were part of the referendum project that is still being, we still have one more project to go to complete that. But if you didn't get a copy and you live in Hawthorne, I'm happy to share my copy with you.
We have actually
But it was absolutely amazing, and I know that a very cool potential opportunity came out of it.
Yes.
And I will let Dr. Sprito talk about
Well,
that.
the local business owner reached out and saw on the back cover of this, it talked about our trade course, and a local business owner reached out and said he'd love to have some of our high school students partner with his local business. He was excited to see that we were teaching the trades in the high school. So yeah, a great opportunity for some of our high school students. And I thought it was I thought it was well done. I want to thank Flight 19 Media who assisted us in putting this together, as well as Mr. Pfister, all the staff at the high school who provided the information. But really happy with our first edition. Look forward to future editions for sure.
I just want to say that, as a board, we obviously focus primarily on our children's families, but we do understand through recent fiscal bumps, that the whole community is invested in the success of our students. And this is a great way of getting word out to every single person. And sometimes you have to go old school and just snail mail some things. So I actually got 2 in my mailbox.
Yeah,
so I felt special that I got 2. That's why if anybody needs an extra copy. But did you not get one? I will give you this.
You didn't get one? Here, you have one now. There you go.
Probably let me open it.
We look forward to, no, they came out a couple of weeks ago, so I'm sure. We look forward to the next edition, and I'm very excited to let the community see all of the exciting things that we have going on. That is all I have for correspondence. And I forwarded you that one thing about the has nothing to do with the public, but I want to make sure that I remember that I said it to you. The thing I forwarded you today from Passaic County.
I don't remember.
Yeah, okay. It'll come to me. It's okay, my brain is afterthought.
It's okay.
Dr. Sprito.
Okay, so Brianna Counselor, our student rep, was unable to be with us tonight, so I'm going to start by sharing her report, and then I will get into my report, and I'm going to apologize in advance. I have a lot to share tonight. Excuse me, so let me read Brianna Counselor's student rep report first. It says, good evening and thanks again to everyone who's here and watching virtually tonight. A lot of great things have been going on since our last meeting. Juniors were just recently inducted into the World Language Honor Society as well as the National Honor Society just before the week of spring break. Also on the 20th, Hawthorne High School students visited Jefferson Elementary and participated in Read Across America. Students enjoyed reading and participating in crafts with the children as a way to promote reading to all grade levels. And I know this was not just at Jefferson, it was in all of our elementary schools that our high school students visited. Also, the Hawthorne Police Department paid a visit to the HHS forensics class to discuss relevant topics such as different types of evidence and techniques used to solve crimes. Mr. Criminal students appreciate officers and detectives Bone, Detective DiGeronimo, Cuman, Officer Vega, McMahon, as well as Captain King for sharing their knowledge and experience with us. Student Council had a successful Spirit Week right before our spring break. The fun new day that we added that seemed to be popular was a teacher-student swap day. Student Council will be meeting soon to discuss the elections for next year's board, which will take place in early June. Next, just a reminder that there are numerous fundraisers going on, including Hawthorne High School Bears Apparel, Class of 2025, Bears Care Awareness Apparel, HHS Lacrosse merchandise, and the school store open to HHS students during lunch every Friday. Be sure to support and grab some merchandise. Look, links found on social media, as well as the weekly newsletter. Focusing on cultural diversity, in April, the library spotlights Arab American Heritage Month, highlighting the contributions and accomplishments of Arab Americans through posters, displays, and book talks. The library is celebrating National Poetry Month as well, with displays, announcements, book talks, pocket poem giveaways, and pocket poem giveaways. Also, the library has just recently provided teachers with resources from the Library of Congress to help integrate the reading of poetry in varied subject areas. The Performing Arts Club is performing selections from our upcoming spring concert on April 11th at the Van Dyke Senior Center. They will also perform selections on May 3rd at the Fairlawn Senior Center. Dance and theater classes also participated in a workshop yesterday with professional audio engineer of Stage and Screen Talks, Tom, I don't know how to say his last name, Tarzakis. HHS spring sports are off to an amazing start so far. Boys lacrosse is off to a great start. Their next game will be on Thursday at 3 p.m. away at Union Catholic High School in Scotch Plains.
It's PCTI on Saturday.
Oh, okay. Sorry, PCTI on Saturday.
They had to rearrange that game.
Baseball is also away on Thursday to play against Pompton Lakes. Spring track had their first meets on Friday the 5th and Tuesday the 9th, where each team performed well and came out. Both boys and girls came out with wins and new PRs, I guess, personal records. Lastly, looking forward to the last marking period. Some dates to save are the spring musical Mamma Mia, which will be on April 26th through 28th. AP testing starting the second week of May, senior prom June 6th, and senior graduation June 18th. That's all for now. As always, have a great night, Go Bears. Okay, thank you, Brianna. So that's her report. In regard to my report, just some things I want to share, and then I want to read some additional information. I want to begin by offering my congratulations to all the students who were inducted into the Italian, Spanish honor societies, as well as our National Honor Society. Those events are always great events, and it's always nice to see so many students being inducted into those honor societies. I want to thank the advisors of those groups for all the time that they put in to not only work with the students throughout the year, but to establish those honor society induction events. I know it takes a lot of time, but we appreciate them. We look forward to honoring our senior NHS students, which are our seniors, at the Gold Tassel Dinner on Thursday, May 3rd. Once again, as Brianna mentioned, our spring sports seasons are off to a great start. I always enjoy seeing all of our fields full of students, right? Whether it's baseball, softball, or track team, or lacrosse team. I had a chance to see lacrosse this past weekend, but I've gotten a chance to see baseball, lacrosse so far. Look forward to visiting our softball teams and our track teams as well. Not only at the high school, but Lincoln Middle School as well. Our Lincoln Middle School track team. I also want to mention the Hawthorne Police Department, their leadership camp, which, as many of us know, we've had children who participated. It's an amazing program run by the Hawthorne Police Department. It assists our 5th graders entering 6th grade. It assists with their transition to Lincoln Middle School. It is a week-long program in August. This year it runs from August 12th through August 16th. It is run by Sergeant Delalo. And you can contact Sergeant Delalo. You can check out the police department website and the borough of Hawthorne's website where they have information about leadership camp. I encourage all 5th grade parents to enroll their children. It is a very worthwhile program. It definitely assists in their transition from an elementary student to a middle school student. So please take advantage of that opportunity. It is a great, great program. Tonight on the agenda, you'll see a few different items. Number one, the revised school calendar for the 23-24 school year. As we do each year, we had 3 unused inclement weather days, which will be given back around Memorial Day. We'll have 2 days after Memorial Day, and we will have the day of primary elections also. We will be closed, which is always a benefit because we don't have to worry about having our students and teachers in the schools while people are voting in our schools. So that calendar is being approved tonight and will be shared with the public as soon as it is approved by the board. The other thing, as Dr. Moreau mentioned, we're happy to be continuing our partnership with Lakeland and Waldwick in a hockey tryout for our high school students. They've partnered for the last 2 years. It was something that was brought to us a couple of years ago. We agreed to a 2-year partnership, and this year was the 2nd year, so we had to revisit that partnership. We're excited to continue that partnership at a minimal cost. Like I said, it's a $10,000 cost over 2 years, and that money is being used to get new uniforms. Currently, they're wearing Lakeland uniforms with a little sticker on the back of the helmet that says Lakeland, Waldwick, Hawthorne. But now they'll have new uniforms that will incorporate Hawthorne colors and Waldwick colors, as well as the Lakeland colors. So that's what the money will be going toward, and we're excited to continue that partnership. We already mentioned the newsletter, so I'm not going to speak about that. I do want to speak about 2 other things, and I want to thank Mr. Toby Murphy, who's part of the Friends of the Library. They ran a Friends of the Library book cover contest. They reached out, Toby reached out to me and asked if I would share it with our students, which I did. And he just shared with me that he wanted to name the winners. So in the K4 group, Jackson Alcocer in grade 2 at Roosevelt won their cover 1, Percy Jackson and the Last Olympian. In grades 5 through 8, Elizabeth Florkowitz in grade 6 at Lincoln. That cover 1, What Was Once Mine was the name of the cover. And the winners, along with all participants, will have their work hung in the library for the rest of the week. So Toby, we appreciate you offering that to our students and appreciate you notifying us of the winners. So thank you for that. Okay, our STEM capstone class. So we talk about this group every year, right? It's a different group of seniors every year that participates in the STEM capstone class. And once again, our students have done very, very well. So I'll just read what Mrs. Pasquale shared with me. That our STEM capstone is a class for seniors interested in solving real-world problems. This year there are several projects in process. Downspout Dynamo is a device that a homeowner would insert into the downspout to generate electricity to charge batteries on a cell phone. Seniors Ryan Corella, Joshua Duran, Nathaniel Gehring, Jacob Hernandez, and Merdit Belu are exploring the effectiveness of using the rain flowing in the gutter to turn the blades like a water wheel and use the rotational motion to generate electricity. Students have been designing, prototyping, using CAD models and 3D printing parts, and testing versions of their device. The students met with engineers and other professionals as part of the class for ideas and guidance. And I can tell you they were actually at Celebration. If you had a chance to visit, they were there, they had a table, and they were talking about their project at Celebration. I had a chance to sit and talk to them about it. It's unbelievable what these kids are able to come up with. It's just incredible. These students presented their idea at the Regional New Jersey School Board Steam Tank Competition on April 12th, and they're waiting to find out if they will be going to the state competition but they feel very confident, and I can tell you, just by talking to them about their project, I would not be surprised if they make it to the state level. Also, senior Skylar Walsh and John Kimberlin completed their design and model of a mini golf hole as part of the Garden State Greens competition. They selected the Patterson Falls as a significant New Jersey feature that contributed to the advancement of engineering, technology, and industry in New Jersey. They created a CAD model of the hole and built the model. They submitted their entry on April 12th. Additionally, these two seniors are working on a keyboard replacement to make it easier for those with physical disabilities to compose music using software. Their product, Mac, M-A-C-K, Musicians Adaptive Composition Keypad, replaces the traditional keyboard with a board that is much more manageable for those with dexterity issues. They have designed and 3D printed the board and are working on the electronics to capture the information. So just amazing, again, what these kids come up with, and I'm just really proud of the group, not just this year, but every year I feel like we're up here talking about our STEM capstone group and the success that they're having. So great job by our Mrs. Phibbs and our teachers who support that program, and of course our students for doing the work that they do. Just a couple other notes of important dates I want to share. Our annual budget hearing is scheduled for Tuesday, April 30th at 7 o'clock, right here in the boardroom. We look forward to our annual 5th grade parent orientation at Lincoln Middle School, which is scheduled for May 1st. Our May 7th board meeting, we will recognize our teachers and educational support professionals of the year. That is also youth night, as you guys know. We have our youth senior student counterparts at that meeting on May 7th, and that will be at Hawthorne High School. So we'll have our student reps with us, or our student counterparts, as well as honoring our teachers that night. Brianna mentioned the high school spring production, which will take place from April 26th to the 28th. They are performing Mamma Mia. The Lincoln Middle School production will take place on Friday, May 17th. They are performing Matilda Jr., also at the high school this year. And also, don't forget that as we begin the month of May, we'll be hosting our spring concerts at all of our schools, so stay tuned to the weekly messages in the school websites for those dates. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cerrito. Ms. Erin Trout, Curriculum and Instruction.
Thank you, President Goff. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Curriculum and Instruction recommends the following resolutions. CI1 through CI4 on page 3, and CI5 through CI7 on page 4. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Erin Trout, seconded by Mr. Totaro. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Clavio.
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes.
Ms. Erin Trout.
Yes.
Ms. Smokey Colson.
Yes.
Mr. Palouse.
Yes.
Mr. Shortway.
Yes.
Mr. Totaro.
Yes.
Mr. Carr.
Yes.
Mrs. Goff.
Yes. Personnel, back to you, Ms. Erin Trout.
Thank you, President Goff. The following resolutions are pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools. P1 and P2 on page 4, P3 through P8 on page 5, which continues on page 6, as well as P9 on page 6. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Erin Trout, seconded by Mr. Shortway. Any discussion?
I do. I would like to make a note of P9 to congratulate Miss Jackie Pizarro as our new principal of Washington School, as there's a lot of excitement here and with all of us and within the community, and we're very happy for you, Mrs. Pizarro. And also, can I make a comment about the committee, just thanking the committee?
Sure.
I was part of the interviewing committee for the principal, and I'd like to thank, there were community members, teachers, administrators. I think it went really well, and we are thrilled with our decision. And that concludes my comments for personnel.
Yeah, I would just also like to congratulate Mrs. Pizarro and welcome her to the administrative group. Excited to have you join our team.
Thank you.
And I know you might want to say a few words.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, come on, please. Over to you.
Thank you, everybody. no, forgive me for reading. I didn't want to mess up the moment, so forgive me. It's an honor and privilege to stand here before you tonight and accept my new role as principal of Washington Elementary School. Sorry. I'm very aware of the responsibility entrusted in me by the community, the parents, the staff, and most importantly, the students. So I want to express my gratitude for the faith and trust you placed in me, and I'm eager to get to work. I'm very excited to embark on this journey with you. Washington School holds a special place in the hearts of many, mine included, and I am committed to honoring its role within our school district while embracing its continued growth. So once again, thank you.
Any other comment?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so Washington School was our first home school. It holds a very special spot in our heart and our family, so we're thrilled and congratulations.
Shall we vote? Roll call, please.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Ms. Erentrout?
Yes.
Mrs. Mulkey Coulson?
Yes.
Mr. Palouse?
Yes.
Mr. Shortway?
Yes.
Mr. Totaro?
Yes.
Mr. Cora?
Yes.
Mr. Clevio?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes. Congratulations, Mr. Starr. We're all very excited. Finance and Administration, Mr. Clevio.
Thank you, Madam President. Finance and Administration. Action items. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Finance and Administration recommends the following resolutions on page 6, F1 through F4, on page 7, F5 through A6. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Clevio, seconded by Mr. Carr. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Erentrout?
Yes.
Ms. Mulkey Coulson?
Yes.
Mr. Palouse?
Yes.
Mr. Shortway?
Yes.
Mr. Totaro?
Yes.
Mr. Cora?
Yes.
Mr. Clevio?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes. Miss Mulkey Coulson. I hear you preparing. Claims.
In accordance with NJAC 6A 23-211BC3 and C4, I approve.
Yeah, you could say it is recommended that line. You could read it right
Oh,
there.
it is recommended that the board approve the bill list for the month of April 2024.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Mulkey Coulson, seconded by Mr. Clevio. Any discussion? This was Ms. Mulkey Coulson's first bills month. It is an undertaking. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Mulkey Coulson?
Yes.
Mr. Palouse?
Yes.
Mr. Shortway?
Yes.
Mr. Totaro?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Clevio?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Ms. Erentrout?
Yes.
Mrs. Goff?
Yes. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Totaro.
Thank you, Madam President. And you're lucky you don't have a bucket anymore.
Oh, we used to love a physical. They would drop off a like 200-pound tote on your front door.
That was
And it
fun.
was your whole weekend.
Pursuant to the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, Committee on Buildings and Grounds recommends the following resolutions. BG 1 through BG 6 on page 8, continuing on page 9. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Totaro, seconded by Mr. Clevio. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Sure.
The parent transportation contract, as the parent, as a company, or company? That's-
So-
What is that?
So sometimes we develop parent contracts with the parent. It's a lot, to be honest with you, it's a cheaper option than busing students. So there are times where we'll work out parent contracts with families as opposed to having to bus them. They're willing to do it for the, and it's, like I said, it's a savings
Much-
for the district.
Like a lot cheaper. Do we offer that to every parent, or
Most
Is it an
parents are not
option?
interested.
Is it an option?
Yeah, it depends. Sometimes we can work it out with the parent.
Okay.
Especially if it's a one-off, if it's not a number of students going to the
Right.
same location, we'll always attempt to do that.
Yeah, it's a lot less.
As opposed to getting a van or a bus for one student, which again is a lot more expensive.
Right,
So,
okay.
we
So it's
try
an
to-
option for every parent, whether they,
Sure.
as long, I just want to, make sure it's presented.
Yeah, well, again, it
And
depends,
and
because if there's
parents
a
are
bus full
aware.
of kids, we're paying
Oh,
for
of
the
course,
bus anyway.
right,
But-
right.
But if it's one particular student going to a location, it makes a lot,
Okay,
more sense
that's
to do a
wonderful.
contract.
Thank you.
I also had a question on that, Dr. Sprito.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's a difference in the rate here. Is there a cap? Like, do we pay them our aid in lieu? No, we can negotiate whatever we want with them? There's not like a maximum amount that we, okay.
I mean, obviously, that's the savings to the district.
Of course. Very interesting. I didn't know that that's another non-regulated area. Transportation's like the Wild West in education, apparently. It's just
I guess so. I didn't know that.
unbelievable what some things can cost when it comes to
Well,
that.
so the $50.
Day one is for ESY though, and then the other one's for the school year, which is also the
Yeah,
big
but
difference.
aid in lieu is not this amount. What we pay other families.
Oh, right, okay.
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 Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Falus,
Yes.
Mr. Shortlight,
Yes.
Mr. Tataro,
Yes.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Clivio,
Yes.
Mr. Doyle,
Yes.
Ms. Erentrout,
Yes.
Ms. Mulkey Coulson,
Yes,
Mrs. Goff.
Yes. Policy, Mr. Doyle.
Thank you, Madam President. Action items on page, let me put my glasses on, I thought I could do it. Said, page 9, pursuant to the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Committee on Policy recommends the following resolutions, PO-1. And on behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Mr. Palusi's pointing at Mr. Shortway. Moved by Mr. Doyle, seconded by Mr. Shortway. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Shortlight,
Yes.
Mr. Tataro,
Yes.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Clivio,
Yes.
Mr. Doyle,
Yes.
Ms. Erentrout,
Yes.
Mrs. Mulkey Coulson,
yes.
Mr. Falus,
Yes.
Mrs. Goff.
Yes. Committee and liaison reports. Mr. Carr, we'll start with you for legislative.
Thank you, Madam President. Very busy month legislatively with state aid. So the Assembly approves revamped state aid restoration, tax cap flexibility measures, along with other school-related bills. On Monday, April 15th, the full General Assembly approved legislation A 4161 that would restore a portion of the state aid reductions various school districts would experience under the proposed state budget for fiscal year 2025. The bill would also grant such districts the ability to exceed the property tax levy cap to make up for the balance of any fiscal year 2025 state aid losses. Furthermore, the bill would also provide tax cap flexibility to any district that has experienced a cumulative loss in state aid between fiscal year 2021 and fiscal year 2025. Aid grants and tax cap flexibility. First, the legislation established a stabilized school budget aid grant program funded with a state appropriation of over $71 million. This program would allow any district anticipating an aid loss in fiscal year 2025 to apply to the Commissioner of Education for an aid grant equal to 2/3 of the amount of the district's proposed school aid reduction. Unlike the previous version of the bill, a district would not need to first exhaust all of its existing taxing authority as a condition for receiving a grant. These districts would also be able to recoup the remaining 1/3 of their state aid losses by exceeding the maximum amount permitted under the statutory tax levy cap without the need for first obtain voter approval. However, such an increase would be limited to no more than 9.9% of the prior year levy. As was the case with the previous version of the bill, districts receiving a grant would also be prohibited from reducing the total number of school employees for the next school year if the Commissioner approves the district's application. However, an exception would be made if the reduction in staff is being made due to an anticipated decline in student enrollment. Additional tax cap flexibility. The bill provides additional tax levy cap relief to those who experienced cumulative state aid losses in recent years. Specifically, a district that has experienced a net reduction in state aid between fiscal year 2021 and fiscal year 2025, but not necessarily in the fiscal year 2025 budget proposal itself, would be permitted to increase its tax levy beyond the existing cap. Any district that experienced a cumulative loss over this period of time would be able to exceed the cap in one of the following two ways. One, districts receiving aid grants. If the district received an aid grant under the Stabilized School Budget Aid Grant Program, the permitted increase would be capped at the amount of the school district's net reduction from 2020 to 2021 through 2023-2024, the current and 3 prior fiscal years. Such a district's aid loss for 2024 and 2025 will be recouped through the Stabilized School Budget Aid Grant Program summarized above. Number 2, districts not receiving aid grants. Districts not yet eligible for an aid grant because they are not anticipating a reduction in state aid in fiscal year 2025 would similarly be eligible for tax cap flexibility. These districts would be able to increase their levy beyond the maximum permission amount up to the overall reduction between fiscal year 21 and fiscal year 25. The prior 4 fiscal years and the fiscal year beginning July 1. In both instances, the overall amount that any district would be allowed to increase its tax levy beyond the current permissible amount without obtaining voter approval would be capped at 9.9%. SDA district impact, while they would be eligible for restoration equal to 2/3 of their state reduction to the Stabilized School Budget Aid Grant Program, the bill's provisions regarding tax cap flexibility would not apply to SDA districts. Such districts already have the ability to exceed the statutory cap up to their local fair share under existing law. Next step is now this bill now heads to the Senate, where its companion bill S3081 sits in the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee, and it is yet to be scheduled for a hearing. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Mr. Clavijo, Finance and Administration.
Thank you, Madam President. So many questions about that.
Yeah.
And it's changed.
Like 3 times.
Yeah, this was from this morning. This was changed.
I mean, for what it's worth, at least it's being heard, right? It seems like
Yeah.
it's resonated.
You just have to fire all your teachers so you can get funding, right? Like,
I just
No.
I don't.
No.
No,
Yeah,
we're saying you have to
no.
reinstitute anything that was cut based on
Right,
your.
but for this year, you have to let them go.
Well-
And show that you did, so that you can then tax your people more money, because they didn't give it to you.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, look, the good news is, this is the most conversation that since I've been a superintendent, that I've ever heard about state aid. I mean, you always talk about state aid, but I feel like people are finally listening.
More people are affected, I think, right?
Yeah, but
this
people
year.
are finally
And I-
listening, and this is the most conversation I've ever heard about state aid. They're talking about redoing the formula, so,
Or
listen,
even announcing the formula.
Yeah. well,
Letting the
what
formula be known.
What it is.
Just identifying the formula
That would
would be
help.
the first.
But again, it's a step in the right direction. I'll take whatever they want to give us.
I would just like to plug out right now, before we get into general comments though, Assemblyman Barlis and DePhillips have been an absolute advocate on behalf of the district. I cannot stress that enough. Regardless of political lines, they have really stepped up and voiced for Hawthorne in general to try and fight for us on behalf of this bill. So just want to announce that.
That's fantastic. I've been a skeptic from the beginning because, like you said, we've never heard any, we've had issues in the past and it hasn't gone anywhere. So the fact that something's happening here, I agree, making me a believer. Yeah, it's great. I always find it interesting, it's our own tax money, but it gets given back to us in aid and former grants, but it's our own money. All right, so Finance Committee met. Topics that were discussed were the SDA and JBOE Emergent Project Grant. It was approved. It was received back in February in the amount of $52,478. It's going to cover most of the work for sidewalks that are being done at Lincoln and Roosevelt. We discussed the budget, an update on the budget. At that moment, the finance portion was already approved. We're waiting on the county ed specialist approval. Not sure if that's happened, but that's what that was at that point. Thanks. We also discussed the athletic complex evaluation quote. We got a quote from our architect solutions. The quote came in at $22,000, $22,500. The consensus of the committee was that, while we were interested in investing some money as to evaluate our options, we thought that cost was higher than what we would like to pay. So we're going to investigate other options, other venues to get an idea as to what can be done down there. We also discussed the ROD grant update. The submission for the documents are submitted. Once these are approved, we're going to get 40% back of the total cost. These are going to cover 2 schools, Roosevelt and LMS. The current total cost estimate is $1.6 million, which is subject to change depending on what we actually do on those buildings. The hockey tryout was discussed already. An approval was done for the $5,000 per season. It's a 2-year commitment. Something else that was in the agenda that wasn't on the agenda that we discussed was consideration of possibly moving the election from November to April. At some point, we moved the election to November with the idea that you're going to get a bigger turnout, which didn't necessarily happen. People do not necessarily vote down the ballot. There was supposed to be a cost savings, which there is. At that point, it was about $25,000 that it cost because you're not funding the election. But this year, where we find ourselves is that, unless something happens, we have a 2% cap, and you have to make the numbers work at that point. You got to shave off whatever you need to shave off. So there's basically no wiggle room. It appears that if we go to April, there's the possibility, and that's got to get confirmed, to move the election over to April. We no longer would be caught up in the November election, which can get partisan, and then that April election, provided that we stay within that 2% cap, the budget doesn't necessarily need to be approved by the public. If we do need to go above the 2%, we would have the option of going to the public at that point to see if the public approves of it at that point. So it seems like we have some flexibility at that point, whereas at this point, our hands are tied. We have to make that 2% cap meet. And you got to shave off whatever you need to shave off to make those numbers work. So. Sure, awesome. And also, some great news to share is that today was the closing for the new building.
I got nothing to say.
I'm going to see our thunder, but yeah, Mark is going to report on that now. And that concludes the report.
Thank you, Mr. Trujillo. Mr. Doyle, anything for policy?
No, other than the adoption of the 21 revisions tonight, we have nothing new to report.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Erin Trout, Council Liaison and Curriculum and Instruction.
Thank you, President Goff. I will do the Council Liaison first. I guess the weather's getting nicer, so there's a lot more going on in town. So I'm going to go over a few events and stuff that's going on. First, Mayor Lane did give an update on our water, and we're in compliance with the New Jersey maximum contaminant levels. One of the comments from the mayor. Also, the Hawthorne Ambulance Corps is in need of new members if anyone's interested in volunteering. There's a townwide garage sale on April 27th from 9 to 3, and you have to sign up by tomorrow here at Borough Hall. Also, registration for the Hawthorne Board of Rec and the Summer Youth Tennis Clinics begins on May 6th here at Borough Hall from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. if you're interested in registering. This Saturday, April 20th, there's a Celebrate Earth Day with the Hawthorne Soccer Association from 10 to 12 at the WAG Sports Complex for a cleanup. There's a few more. Sunday, April 28th, the Hawthorne Environmental Commission and Green Team will be hosting a bird walk. And on May 2nd, the Hawthorne Green Team has a lecture on recycling at the library. Wednesday, May 8th, New Jersey Motor Vehicle Mobile Unit will be here at Borough Hall from 10 to 2 for inspections. And Sunday, May 19th, the mayor will be hosting his wellness event at 2 p.m. at the high school football field. And also, the council meeting tomorrow evening, there will be proclamations for Autism Awareness Month and Arbor Day 2024. So that's a lot going on with the town and the council. And for curriculum and instruction, we met on Tuesday, April 9th. Quick update on the standards-based report cards in progress. We will keep you posted, but a lot of good work going into that. And we're excited to introduce it soon, right, Dr. Tribona?
At the June PTOs.
Yes. And the No Place for Hate update. So No Place for Hate, it's basically a program that helps to build a learning community of inclusivity, respect, and equity. We've been part of it this is our second year, right? And we're excited to announce that we're on track for gold status again this year. So we have a bunch of baseline activities that have to meet certain standards. And I'll give just a few examples of what we're doing and what's been approved and what we're doing so far. So at Lincoln Middle School, there was Kevin Natlis gave an assembly, and there was a follow-up discussion in ELA. There was a Heroes and Cool Kids training and classroom push-ins for bullying. And they did a really cool project. We saw samples of it, of identity tiles, and made a mural for the Den Day activity. And at the high school, we're working on the Humans of Hawthorne, which is a really cool project of people's stories in the community. There's a code of conduct rollout, an ELA poetry slam, and identity and culture appreciation program. So a lot going on, but exciting that we are going to get gold status again this year. So that concludes the CNI report.
Thank you, Ms. Erin Trout.
Thank you.
Not much for NJSBA. I shared that little card talking about the upcoming, the next conference that they're going to have. They shared the theme, and the theme is Quest for Student Success for Workshop 2024. They're also asking any local board members to get involved at the NJSBA level by volunteering for a committee. I guess they have their own committees at the NJSBA level. They did send out a volunteer form today if anyone is interested. It's in our email. And just your friendly reminder that within the years 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 9, you have to complete your mandated training for NJSBA within the calendar year. I believe it's calendar year, not election year. If you have any questions, Karen Skay is in charge of keeping track of where you are and what you need to complete by that. And that is all for NJSBA. Ms. Mulkey Colton, Passaic County.
So the next meeting has a hybrid option. You can either go to a steakhouse in Riverdale.
Oh,
fancy. Or you can skip the dinner and stay home in your PJs and join virtually. That's what I'll be doing. So that's on May 29th, and the theme is celebrations. And also County Teacher of the Year will be presented with their award, and so that's a nice, and that's May 29th. We didn't have the meeting this month because it was Unsung Heroes, and
yes,
they skipped this month.
Mr. Palouse, have CPAC and PTOs.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a few things here. LMS PTO has teamed up with Uncle Bob's Kettle Corn for their latest fundraiser and will be selling popcorn in a variety of flavors through the end of April. Please support us if you can. Reach out to us via email or see an LMS student. Everything that I take here is kind of off of Facebook, so if you can just go on the LMS Facebook page, you should be able to find this information as well. Help us reach our goal of selling 200 bags of popcorn. And also watch out for LMS students that are going around town selling Gertrude Hawk chocolate bars. Grab a bar and support them as we raise money for the upcoming 6th grade field trip to Medieval Times and the 7th grade field trip to Nyota Hills. Hawthorne High School, Hawthorne Project graduation, again, is going to be doing a raffle, raffling off a 13-inch MacBook Air. It's a $20 donation and a chance to win. Winner need not be present. The drawing is going to be on May 15th. Again, if you could just reach out and look up Project Graduation on Facebook, or you can always email me or call me if you have any questions. But again, that's May 15th drawing for Project Graduation, and it's a great. They put on a great event every year for the students. So the more money we can help raise, it's really going to be helpful. So I appreciate your support. And Roosevelt School this Friday night, Shortways Barn will be April 19th. We'll be giving back 15%. There's a flyer on the Facebook page, or you can just simply mention Roosevelt PTO fundraiser when ordering. So again, that's this Friday night, 15% give back to the PTO of Roosevelt at Shortways Barn. And then last but not least, Hawthorne NJCPAC, it's the 6th annual 5K Color Run Walk. I've been reporting this for a long time, and we are finally here. It's less than 3 weeks away. Registration begins again Sunday, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. Registration begins at 8 a.m. The walk run kicks off at 9 a.m. and there'll be a color blast at the end of the event, which is always a lot of fun. If you have any questions, please reach out. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Booth. Mr. Totaro, Buildings and Grounds.
Thank you, Madam President. Buildings and Grounds Committee met virtually on April 11th to discuss various items taking place throughout the district. At the high school, Lincoln Middle School in Washington, the exhaust pipes were installed for the generators, which are nearing completion. Over at Lincoln and Washington, the bollards were installed protecting the area around the generators, which you might notice as well. During spring break, the new playground was completed at Roosevelt, and it looks like amazing and electric. Thanks to Roosevelt PTO. Tremendous job with that. And the new mulch was also installed last Wednesday, and I believe you guys had the grand opening on Saturday. Yep. And again, I just want to commend the Roosevelt PTO for such a wonderful job on behalf of our district.
That's great.
Over at the new BOE building, as Mr. Clavio has mentioned, we closed today. All the repairs have been completed. And previously, the committee reported on the district-wide brick assessment, which was completed. We are just awaiting all the reports from all the schools so that we can review that and determine if additional action is required at each of the locations. Also, Ms. Clavio mentioned about the ROD grant. An update of that. Just overall, we are waiting for the approval of these grants to perform roof replacements at both the Roosevelt and Lincoln Middle School. This work is tentatively scheduled for the summer, again, contingent on the approval. In regards to referendum update, the last of the scheduled work is the tunnel asbestos abatement, which will take place at the end of the school year, which will require the high school to be closed for about a month, which is basically the whole month of July. And last but not least, the high school athletic facility assessment. The committee reviewed the costs associated with the facility assessment, and the unanimous decision was that we do not feel it's prudent at this time to proceed. And that concludes Buildings and Grounds Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Totaro. At this time, public can be heard. Members can ask questions or make comments on educational issues or school matters. Please feel free to rise and
This size crowd, we need at least 5 people at the mic.
I know.
Nobody takes the mic from me. Hello.
Hi, Mr. Murphy.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Speaking of the conversation regarding funding, I know everybody's favorite topic lately. I was curious if there's been a discussion by the board about a statement or just in general about the New Jersey Student Support Act bill. That's the one that is would potentially give residents tax breaks for private schools. And I was just curious if there's a discussion. I know in the past the board has put out statements on certain issues, especially regarding like testing. I remember the one that was put out last year. I think it was last year.
Yeah, we occasionally will make a resolution where we strongly feel one way or the other. We have not done that yet. We were supplied with the bill information. Someone in the audience, make sure to keep us current on that. So I did get it and I did read it, so that's definitely something we can talk about as a board and how we feel about that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. That's it?
That's it.
Dr. Morrell's going to come up. There she is.
That's 2, we need 3 more.
We will take repeats.
Hey, we get the karaoke.
All right, so the school report cards have come out and I reviewed them, and I hope that the board members have had an opportunity to review them. So what I'm about to share today is something that I'm wholeheartedly passionate about, and I'm an advocate for it. In reviewing our school report cards, our recent that were publicly released, our district continues to become more diverse in several categories. Our district now has 33.5% economically disadvantaged. These are our free and reduced lunch students. Our multilingual learner population continues to increase to 4.6%. Our Hispanic population for the first time is 46%, and we have more Hispanic students than white students in the district. The white students is 45.2%, blacks have increased to 4.1%, and Asians continue to increase to 2.5%. In our specific schools, Washington is comprised of 67.8% Hispanic, 9.8% multilingual, and 58.8% economically disadvantaged. Roosevelt is 46% Hispanic and white 43.5%. Our demographics of our teachers in the district is 95% white, 2.7% Hispanic, 2.3% black. Our administrators are 94.4% white. There are no Hispanic administrators in the district, and 5.6% are black. In our Washington staff, it is 96.4% white, Hispanic 0%, and black 3.6%. And in Roosevelt, our white staff population is 96.3%, Hispanic 1.9%, and black 1.9%. Why am I pointing out these statistics to you? Because I would like to continue to advocate that the board members and the district administration continues to work in their efforts to diversify its staff, to continue to work so that these staff members reflect the student population that is now majority Latino. The other thing that I would like to stress is that the continued importance of culturally relevant curriculum and that our teachers are culturally competent. Culturally relevant instruction is crucial for historically marginalized students because it validates their identities, experiences, and perspectives, fostering a sense of belonging and empowerment. It helps bridge cultural gaps, promotes academic success, and prepares students to navigate diverse society. And although I specifically pointed out Washington and Roosevelt, this work must also be done in Lincoln Middle School, the high school, and in Jefferson, even when perhaps you might not have large numbers of historically marginalized students. The important thing about supporting historically marginalized students is because you have to ensure that you're continuing to improve their academic achievement. And again, if you look at our school report cards, our academic achievement, of course, is not where we would like it to be. And I'm concerned about possible coded conversations that may occur in the future in the community if our academic achievement does not continue to improve. And that perhaps is because the community is changing, and that's coded language. So I want to ensure that we as a district continue to have high expectations and that we continue to provide professional development to all of our educators to be aware and how to best support these students. Thank you.
Dr. Morrell, if I may for 1 second. I will not make claims on the ethnicity of a certain member of our faculty, but I do know that at the recent, I was going to speak about this later, the recent 8th grade course selection, our new director of guidance, Dr. Pfeiffer, completely spoke in Spanish to the community, which as you know, has been a priority for this board to make sure that our community is able to understand and participate in any way possible. And more so a question for my own knowledge. I know that you have provided us with avenues to, because quite frankly, we're in a crisis of not being able to find teachers, period. No less being selective, in a specific category. Where I know that you provided us with the, yes. We participate in that. If you in the future do come across a place where you're finding a pool of candidates that you feel would be beneficial, obviously I know you will, but I just, it seems like, and I sit on a candidate interview pool for another district, I don't see candidates coming across the desk at all, really. We're kind of in a drought, but I want you to know that I'm committed to continuing to bring a culturally diverse group of individuals to this community. We want everybody to feel that they're represented, and I know how important that is to the students that sit in the classroom. And I know that I speak for other people up here as well. So don't feel because you're not up here that we're not continuing to carry your torch. And I know you'll be here again. Any other public comment?
At least one more.
You could just say ditto. No? Okay. We will start comments from board members. We're going to do all three in one lump sum. Just identify what kind of comment you're giving, whether it's a general comment, a new business, or an old business comment. I will start with Mr. Shoreway. You looked at me, so it's going to be you, buddy.
I really don't have much to say, but congratulations, Principal Passaro.
Oh, that has such a nice ring to it.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Shortway. Mr. Clark, we're going counterclockwise.
Thanks.
I'm keeping you guys on your toes.
Just to echo the sentiment that Marco stated about the Roosevelt School PTO, great job on the playground, and what an awesome night. I got to be the guest referee for the Harlem Wizards. It was so much fun.
Yeah, he did so much
I was there.
Yeah, I killed it.
So much reffing going on.
I hope we do it again. I hope we do it at another school. I hope we do it, across the district. It was a lot of fun. Had a great time. Had a great night. And just with the school funding issue, we took a huge hit. We took the largest hit in Passaic County, over $800,000. Just to reiterate that our assemblymen have actually gone to bat for us. You can go on New Jersey Spotlight News on YouTube on April 10th at the 16-minute and 40-second mark. They specifically mentioned this district. They specifically mentioned Hawthorne. They specifically mentioned the needs that were taken from us. So they are fighting for us. It's nice to see that our elected officials at the state level are recognizing the needs that we had taken from here. So again, if you get a chance, log in, check it out. Shout out again to Assemblyman Barless and Assemblyman DePhillips. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Ms. Milky Goldson.
So I also would like to thank the Roosevelt PTO for busting their, the last 2 years, 3 years, to, it feels like forever. It might have been 5 by that playground and take down the old, and we had volunteers help to take down the old and, do things that they could to save money. It's not a cheap endeavor. And the old one was dangerous to the point where the kids weren't able to use it, or they would put caution on some of it so they could use part of it. So I really appreciate that my youngest got to see that before he graduates. And of course the Wizards Harlem game was amazing. I was like, no, we're going to basketball game. Okay. No, just kidding. It was awesome. It was awesome. It's not what I thought it was, but the teachers and parents got to play and were involved, and it was a great time. I danced the whole time. Yeah, I felt like I was left at a wedding the next day. I just want to say congratulations to the 2 new hires, 2 new paraprofessionals. Are always a nice thing to see, because I know how much we need them and they're hard to find. And something else. Sorry, lost my notes. I guess that's it. CPAC color run, May 5th. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Blues.
I can jump it around.
Yes, we're going counterclockwise.
Okay. Again, thank the Roosevelt PTO and all the PTOs, CPAC, have everybody who, volunteers to continue to help us, grow things in this district. I do want to make a comment to what Mr. Carr said, and maybe Ms. Murray or Dr. Sprittle can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but the $800,000 that we lost is
84,720.
Yeah. Closer to 9.
Exact,
No one's.
is equivalent to the 2% increase of our budget within, right. So, the point that I'm making is that whatever we thought we would be getting, we lost. So we're pretty much at break even to where we were last year, but yet the expenses continue to go up. So it's a huge deal that we at least have some momentum behind it, and hopefully we can find out the funding formula.
Yeah.
The old school way was, we tell you we got to kill you, so hopefully that will change and we can understand really what goes into that. But if people have to just get involved, and when, even if it's just writing a letter or an email, just voicing your opinion, and we have to continue to move forward, because if we have another year like this, it's just continued cuts. So hopefully we can get the state back on track and realize that we can't continue to lose money. We have to at least move forward. Thank you.
Ms. Aaron?
Okay, so general comments. On Saturday, April 27th, there's the Passaic County Film Festival at the Public Safety Academy at 11 a.m. I don't know, did we know if any Hawthorne students submitted films? I know I was there last year and there were 3 and they were really awesome. So they didn't announce the lineup yet, but if we have Hawthorne students, let's go support them. It's a really nice day and exciting to see members of our community like thriving and doing really well. And second, I know I shared professional comments during the personnel report, but again, to Mrs. Pizarro, thank you for sharing. And when you're getting emotional up there, I was too. I was part of the district when Mrs. Pizarro joined. She was my coach a few years ago, so really excited, just a couple, but really excited to see how you've grown through our district, and we're so lucky to have you. So that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Mr. Totaro?
Yes, thank you. General comments, again, congrats. Really happy for you. And again, Roosevelt PTO and all the PTOs in general, it's great to have you guys because I don't know how a lot of the things get ran without you. And moreover, I gotta just say, like sports right now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm just so excited about all the sports in Hawthorne right now. I just feel like every time I'm looking at something on social media, it's just something positive that's coming out of the district. I mean, I think ladies softball are 6-0 as the last time I saw it. I mean, you know, the golf team, I mean, everything, lacrosse from high school to middle school. It's just great to see, you know, and really glad to be a part of it. Thank you.
I forgot one. Can I come back? And Abby, you might mention it, but I'm loving the Bears decision
Yes.
page.
You know, every night I scroll on it, and
if anyone hasn't seen it, it's on Instagram and it highlights where everyone's going, and it's just so exciting to see where our students are headed in the future.
And since we're going backwards, congratulations. I don't want to be the only one that doesn't congratulate you.
That one item too that Mr. Carr was sharing about, if you save yourself the trouble, if you don't want to go to it, if it's on my Facebook page, I have that little snippet showing that 1640 mark in case anybody wants to see it as well.
Mr. Flivio?
Thank you. Old business. I think it's worth mentioning on the new building, just for the benefit of the public. We have mentioned in the past, but just now that it's become a reality, the funds that were used to purchase the building were reserve accounts. It's not operating budget income that was used for that. This place that we're in right now, the location, this office, we do not own. We actually pay rent for it. The lease expired, so it was subject to be renegotiated. We're currently paying over $20,000 a year. By purchasing, not only are you purchasing an appreciating asset, which is real estate, you're also alleviating over $20,000 worth of operating budget, which in tight budgets like the ones that we've had, it equates to saving a program, supplies. There's a whole, there's a long way that $20,000 can go when you have a tight budget. So, I think it's worth, keeping in mind that not only do you purchase an appreciating asset, but you're also alleviating operating budget. That was for old business. And just general comments, likewise, congratulations to all our sports, including our lacrosse team. They have a big game at PCT on Saturday.
Saturday, 10 a.m.
Yeah, big game. Also continue to support all our activities, the district activities of Color Run, Mamma Mia. There's just a lot happening, which is great. And also want to congratulate Roosevelt PTO. I did have the opportunity to be at that grand opening, that ribbon cutting ceremony, and the excitement that the kids had. I mean, they couldn't wait to, start using it. So the return on the investment there is almost perpetual. What was the total cost for that project?
67.
Yeah.
It was around $67,000. And we had a lot of help from PTO parents who are in that
industry, and they all came together between taking down the old one, the company that put it in, whoever we used. I mean, her company really pulled a lot of strings for us, and the entire Roosevelt community came together. It was really amazing to see. Even the kids on Saturday, if you weren't there, they could not believe that they could get on that apparatus. They were just, it was great.
My 8th grade daughter went there today with her friends to check it out. So it's the talk of the town.
Listen, keep going. It's been there for a while, so. That's great. It's really awesome.
So thank you to the PTO and all our PTOs for everything they do. We're all pulling in the same direction at that point, and you guys are appreciated.
That's why we do it.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Doyle.
All right, so keeping with the trend, congratulations to all our student athletes and to Principal Pissarro, congratulations. Talking about state aid, I'm only going to mention this because it's being reported by certain news media outlets, so it's out there. I'm not speaking out of turn. But a certain news media outlet, as of earlier today, about 1:13, I don't know how they come up with these numbers. I'm very inquisitive. But their state legislators have passed a bill in the Assembly to possibly reinstate $589,000 of the nearly $900,000 that was taken from us. That's roughly 70%, give or take. Not sure how they're coming up with that number. They go on to talk about some other jargon and the $71.4 million that's available. And Hawthorne's one of the 233 eligible schools that are going to be eligible for this. And it says again that it will see $589,000 in state aid restored for its 24-25 budget if the bill passes both houses and is signed by the governor. So I'm not really sure where they're getting their information from or these particular facts, but it sounds like good news to me. So keep an eye on the news media, see what happens. Stay positive. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle. Dr. Sprito wanted to say something.
Yeah, I'll just comment on that too. The other thing we have to be careful of with this state aid is if it's truly in the form of a grant, it doesn't mean it becomes part of your operating budget, which doesn't mean you get 2% on that number, right? So it's a kind of a one-time stopgap, right? It's going to help us this year, but it doesn't necessarily help us down the road. So we'll see how what the final bill looks like, but just want to.
Not a long-term solution.
Yeah.
Right.
But we'll take it.
We'll take it. We'll take it. Definitely take it.
The other thing I just want to comment in regard to Dr. Roll's comments, I appreciate your comments in regard to our staff and the makeup of our staff, and please know that it is something we've talked about it. I can tell you that we've had, and Ms. Arntrott will attest to this, we probably had our most diverse pool of candidates that we've ever had. So we're trying, I promise you. We are still part of CJ Pride. We participated in that job fair again this year, and we've gotten, over the last 2 years, we've actually hired people from that job fair. So I appreciate your comments, and please know that it is something that we're working toward. I do agree with you that it is important, and I just want you to know that it's not something that we're ignoring. I promise you it's something we're considering. To be honest with you, it upsets me a little bit. When you mentioned about coded conversations, that really upsets me. I hope that's not happening, and I can tell you that's something that we'll address because I agree with you. We have to maintain high expectations for all of our students. But again, I appreciate you sharing that, and we're going to continue to work toward diversifying our staff going forward. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sprito. I wanted to also thank the Roosevelt PTO for their lovely invitation to the Wizards game, which I unfortunately could not attend, but I did give my ticket back. I did not want it to go to waste because I know that it was sold out. It was a very hot event in town, but we are deeply appreciative of that opportunity. And again, I know it's like the 15th time, but it has to be said again. Huge thank you for the playground. It takes a village, and some village members are more active than others, but we are so appreciative for everything that you all do at the PTO level. That goes to everybody. Roosevelt PTO is just here very often. That is an amazing asset to the town. Again, my 8th grade daughter, she's going to murder me if she just gets out. it's just a very exciting addition. When the school looks better, it's better for everyone and kids want to go there, and that's what we want. We want people to want to be there, so that's amazing. I also wanted to elaborate a little bit more on the 8th grade course selection night. Again, as you sit up here, you only know what you know, and when you don't have a kid. This is my first year having a junior, so I'm going through all those things for the first time, but this is my second time having an 8th grader. A little different because he was a COVID 8th grader. So this was my first real course selection night, which was wonderful. I got to meet the new director of guidance, Dr. Pfeiffer. Again, she said her spiel and then she said it in Spanish. It was lovely. There was no need to have someone else there. She just seamlessly translated what she was saying. She did a wonderful presentation, and then the supervisors were up there presenting their various, subject areas. I want to share that when it came time for my particular child, who I won't say again that she's an 8th grader, to make her course selection for the elective, it was very difficult for her because there are so many amazing electives that she literally couldn't pick one. I just want to share that new electives this year on the course form are directing and producing, music technology, some that are on here that aren't new but were new to me that I hadn't heard, songwriting, behind Broadway, guitar 1 and 2, rock band, 3D art, styles of dance, musical theater. I mean, just absolutely, culinary is always a hot one. Music, I said music technology already. There's just so many amazing courses that the high school has to offer, and they are always changing them. So again, even though I had an 8th grader at one point, this list is different because they do take into consideration the desires of the student body and the changing trends, which I think is something that they do very well. And I'm very appreciative of that. Also the ability for them to have these honors courses immediately, and it's just a huge kudos to Dr. Gerona as well and her crew, who again make a priority to not stay stagnant and just keep the handbook of studies the same. It is constantly evolving for what's more appropriate based on scope and sequence or testing data, or if the state doesn't care about testing data, we do. And I do appreciate everything that you do. It is tireless and it does not go without notice. Again, my kids are 3 years apart, but this is a completely different experience because they've evolved. And I think that's a great testament to this community.
Just a quick comment. I met a parent who was an 8th grader, and they were just very excited about going into the high school, and it was one of those programs that they're actually excited about. So
it's super exciting, and I have had many parents of 8th graders who have shared that the excitement really didn't ignite until this paper came out, and the faculty went down to the 8th grade and had those conversations, and then they got to really see how exciting the opportunities are for them. Because, I'm going to come out and say it. Sometimes the press out there is not so good. And unfortunately, I do think that our students listen to some things that maybe aren't true or maybe are more biased than truth. But when they get this in their hands and it's an actual roadmap of things that they can do and places that they can go, I definitely think that has sparked a lot of excitement, and I'm excited to see where they go. But I want to thank everybody at all of the levels for everything that you guys do. We up here love Hawthorne, so we are very appreciative always. But there are many people in the community who are appreciative too, and we are here to represent them. That is all I have to say. Is everybody okay? Anybody have any? Yep. I knew you were going to remember what you wanted to say.
Yep. So as you're talking about 8th graders going into the high school, 5th graders going into middle school next year have it's parent orientation night, May 1st at 7. And again, that's kind of the same thing. It's a nice way to see what they're getting into, what they offer, what kind of clubs they have, just to find out more info. And then the 5th graders will go during school. So they'll get to travel and check it out. So this is a parent orientation night, but it's a great way to see the building and meet some staff and teachers and administration and just get a feel for the place, especially if it's your first 5th grader. So it's a nice way to meet everyone. It's coming up before the next meeting. So that's May 1st at 7. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, big PCTI game on Saturday, if anyone wants to come, it's at PCTI 10. And lacrosse is 6-1, so this is a big one. Okay, so we will go into private session. Be it resolved that the Hawthorne Board of Education convenes in an executive session to discuss exempt matters pertaining to pending or anticipated litigation or contract negotiation and matters of attorney-client privilege. Be it further resolved that an anticipated executive session will be for 45 minutes in duration. The public action may or may not be taken. Be it further resolved that minutes of the executive session will be made available upon determination by the board. That disclosure of the minutes will not detrimentally affect any right or interest of the board, and the need for confidentiality no longer exists. I'll entertain a motion to go into private.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Totaro, seconded by Mr. Palouse. Roll call, please.
Did we get a coffee machine too?
You want that change something? Mr. Totaro, you were called.
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Carino?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes.
Mr. Dantrop?
Yes.
Mrs. Smokey Colton?
Yes.
Mr. Paluce?
Yes.
Mr. Shortway?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott?
Yes.
That was